Every moment shapes who we are, whether that be seeing the ones we love smile, or the otherworldly horror of seeing the water in a clogged toilet rise. Our eyes are on the front lines. We've evolved to look at the horizon to prepare for predators, focus in on a tree to see the plumpiest, most succulent, delicious style yummy fruit. But what our humble ancestors could have never anticipated when eyes were first invented is seeing the horrors of warfare. We were never meant to experience that, and yet generations of trauma and death pile up, seen and recanted by the two big old cameras in our skulls, panning left to right, right to left, wide open, capturing everything when survival depends on the information our senses give us. I think that when talking about symbolism in film, one of the most recurrent pieces of imagery is that of imagery itself. Our two eyes, and what it means to be taking in the events in front of us. Nothing humanizes characters and exemplifies perspective more than a pair of eyes looking at what the camera itself is about to show us. I'm thinking about all of this because I have just seen two movies that I think are great examples. The issue, however, is that these are two pretty different movies. I'm talking about Saving Private Ryan and Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within. See, I've given myself a challenge in the year of our Lord 2024. I miss writing and editing, so I decided that every 2 weeks I'm going to be challenging myself by watching two random movies I've never seen, and just try to scrounge up any way to compare, contrast, or even just talk individually about the movies as a writing exercise. I thought the idea was kind of funny. I mean, imagine comparing Pee-wee's Big Adventure to Shin Godzilla. With 2 weeks, maybe the essays will come out mid as shit and be nothing, but I don't know. It's a writing exercise, right? A lot of the movies will have nothing at all to do with each other, but I think really just forcing myself to stretch, form some wild ass pulls is just going to keep my noggin rattling around. So, how do I determine the two movies for each video? Well, come right this way to the inaugural episode of I use a wheel. I spin the wheel.
Okay, Saving Private Ryan. It's a good movie, apparently. Wouldn't know. That's a good first movie. I'll take it. And now let's see what I'm comparing it to. Okay, Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within. Let's fucking go.
So what we've got are two pretty different movies. But from the moment I spun the wheel, I realized the common ground that I could use as a basis. Both Saving Private Ryan and Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within are fundamentally, at their core, movies about war. Saving Private Ryan is the story of a troop of mostly unwilling American soldiers that are ordered to save a single soldier deep amongst the chaos of World War II, in service of a US PR campaign. In The Spirits Within, to simplify a lot of shitty, just terrible plot gobbledygook, is a post-apocalyptic story of a scientist's struggle to prove that the perceived alien/ghost, I guess, threat that humanity has been at war with are actually suffering, scared, and very angry spirits. And that through gathering 8 specific spirits for some reason, the spirits can be put at peace and suffering on both sides can be avoided. Through the lens of these two movies, we can look at how two groups of filmmakers making radically different films tackled the importance of perspective in war through the experience of those on the front lines. Saving Private Ryan opens with one of the most harrowing and impressive sequences depicting war that I've ever seen. We see D-Day firsthand through Tom Hanks' character, Captain John Miller's eyes. Although the movie doesn't shy away from dipping its toes in patriotism and valor in war, this sequence doesn't really romanticize war, but it in fact exemplifies how soldiers are often used as just pawns for countries to throw at each other. Men that are practically still teenagers are effortlessly mowed down. The waters of Omaha Beach run red with blood. We see shots of Miller looking at the carnage and horror in front of him. Great focus is put on the eyes. If you see a shot of someone taking in the sight unfolding in front of them, you can take a wild guess at what the following shot will be. We see exactly what Miller is looking at. directly putting the audience in his shoes and subconsciously affirming him as the audience surrogate for the rest of the film. It's such a subtle association, but it's one that works so damn well. We see it again throughout the movie several times. I was unsurprised to see it again in The Spirits Within. Throughout the many dream sequences in the film, we see through main character Aki's eyes the threat of destruction that the alien/future ghosts faced, soon to be humanity's fate if they pursue war with the Phantoms instead of other solutions. Conflicts and perspective are at the core of character interactions in movies like these. We have those who empathize with the enemy to an extent, often placed as the moral compass that the audience will side with. And then we have those who despise the enemy, that no matter what, they are evil and need to be eradicated. In The Spirits Within, General Hine serves as the chief antagonist that hates the Phantoms for having killed his family. He is completely shut off to reason, and frankly, he is cartoonishly evil. Like Bugs Bunny cartoon. If your plan fucks up and you almost kill yourself over it, is doubling down immediately after really the move? I mean, it's the funniest possible move when you're a little freak, as 2 degrees removed from Wesker Resident Evil. But dude, you literally had a gun barrel to your head like a minute ago. Chill out, please. In Saving Private Ryan, the majority of the squad despise Germans without remorse. They're Nazis. It makes sense. But it goes as far to the extent that shortly after the D-Day sequence, we see 2 soldiers mercilessly gun down 2 Czech soldiers that they assume are Germans. It's a horrific scene played very, very quickly, but since we were just in their shoes more or less through the mud and blood of the beach siege, we can understand and empathize with their anger even if completely malaligned. Later, the moral compass of the squad, interpreter Timothy Upham, bargains with the squad to spare the life of a German that they take prisoner, who's begging desperately for his life. Captain Miller ultimately lets him go, which causes a lot of friction within the group. This is one of the few detractors for me with Saving Private Ryan. The movie is kind of confused about the right call here. I think in this scene, the movie plays Upham to be in the right. That gunning down a prisoner like the Czechs had been gunned down earlier is inhumane and basically a war crime. However, the German later goes on to be the one that kills Miller in the final act. Learning his quote-unquote lesson, Upham shows him no mercy the second time around. So, what is the movie telling us here? Was Upham making a mistake when he bargained for a soldier's life to be spared? Should there be no empathy in war? When the soldiers gunned down the 2 Czechs, was that the right call in the karmic logic of the movie? I understand that it's not quite that black and white, but I do think it muddles the point of these scenes a bit. But regardless, both movies have this empathizer archetype that tries to convince those who firmly despise the enemy that the other side is composed of people much like themselves. Aki manages to convince the soldiers she's with to have an open mind when it comes to the Phantoms. She even gets to share one of her dreams with another soldier, her love interest Gray. He gets to see what she sees. Although he had trusted her throughout the movie up until this point, this moment, sharing what she had seen for so long, is the moment he buys in completely to her goal. Thanks to Upham's argument, Miller buys in to spare the German despite his anger and petitioning of the squad. If Upham wasn't there, would Miller have come to the same conclusion of mercy? Conflict is a result of the lack of shared understanding, and we see multiple angles of understanding and rhetorical pleas to find common ground through the characters in these films. I think that my experience watching these 2 movies back to back hits at one of the core reasons we watch movies. We're not trying to see our lives recreated. We know our perspective and we know what we've seen. Not to sound like Nicole Kidman in those fucking annoying AMC pre-rolls, but we go to the movies to experience new perspectives and situations unlike ours. but often in ways that are still relatable. Spielberg recreated a truly awful, bloody moment of our history, and I might never forget the imagery that he gave me. I might not have loved Final Fantasy The Spirits Within, but I'm glad someone was able to share their vision through, at the time, cutting-edge computer-generated imagery. A team of hard-working people show us a story through the eye of the camera, and thus the eyes of the characters in play. A visceral visual experience that can only be from a film, or a TV show, or, a Quibi. You know what I mean. I just think that's kind of neat. Alright, so now it's time to rank these movies. It was a hard decision, but I think Saving Private Ryan inches over Final Fantasy The Spirits Within. Saving Private Ryan has a few issues, particularly whether or not it's pro-USA or a critique of war, but it's undeniably a very well-made movie. Final Fantasy The Spirits Within was impressive for the time, but ultimately it was held back extremely by maybe one of the most nothing premises I've ever seen, and a ton of just really, really subdued performances. Shit puts me to sleep. Hopefully ranking Saving Private Ryan above it won't keep me up at night, and if it does, I can just rewatch Final Fantasy. Now, let me spin the wheel for next time. Alright, let's fucking spin it. Whoa, already? Alright, well, I guess I'm gonna pick a random movie myself. I'm gonna have some time to think about that, methinks. And then Children of Men, which I know like fucking nothing about. So we'll see how that goes.